a little bit on the question that Sal mentioned on the other day about the figure eight. So the figure eight is something that you can categorize as 基本功. So 基本功 is the Mandarin word for basic training. Okay. So to understand IST over the course of time, long term, as you train, you need 基本功. Okay. So if you just do, like, for example, the form, it's good, you get some benefit, but without the foundation of all those nuances about the principles of what IST represents in Tai Chi, you won't be able to capture the refinement, the deep essence of what IST represents when they say it's an internal art, it's an internal system. And the figure eight, although very simple to follow, very easy to do, you can learn it in a few minutes just by doing it physically. But to understand it and to understand what it represents, it takes actually a very long time, because the figure eight, is based on a lot of different qualities of how to do it. Of course, one of them being song, that you're actively releasing. And also, additionally, when you're doing figure eight, right away it teaches you that Tai Chi is not a straight line. It's not rigid. It's not just one way. It's a circle. It's a curve. And that circle is not 2D. That circle is 3D. It's a sphere that can move in any different directions. If you suspend like a box and you start connecting all the dots in different directions, what's going to happen is that from a box, eventually you become a circle once you know how to round the corners, once you learn how to let the energy flow to make the movement. And from a box, and how we all start, it becomes more and more like a circle. And when you have a circle, now it represents a lot of different qualities. One of which is that now you have something going down, something coming up. Because a circle has the ability to rebound. A corner, it hits the corner, now you have to reset to go back the other way. But a circle, energy has momentum. It moves in a circle when you have what we call momentum energy. And the figure eight teaches that, because you go from one side of the body to the other side of the body, and that cycle continues. Because you have your equilibrium, you can constantly go back and forth. And that figure eight plays out in everything we do. We're doing 2-person drills in the in-person class, and a lot of times students are not able to execute because they don't have momentum energy. There's too much thinking, there's getting off, leaking energy, you're off alignment, and as a result, you're not able to do momentum energy, which is actually one continuous energy. Why is that important? That's part of the big cycle. That's part of Dai Zhou Tian, how energy moves without having a stoppage, without having something not moving. And Dai Zhou Tian is very important for good health, because that's how you maintain proper alignment, proper posture. If you talk to different people in different health professions, even without going into medicine, even without going into any type of different types of modalities. Everybody agrees that if you have good posture, that helps a lot in your health already. Something as simple as knowing how to have good posture that is sewn, that already promotes good health physically as well as mentally. So in Tai Chi, that's a huge foundational piece that you have to do. But something as simple as having good posture is actually not that easy. Because think about it, growing up as kids, oh, you got to sit up straight, and then you sit up straight. But when you sit up like this, you're actually rigid because now your back and the tailbone is not properly aligned. Now you're just standing up almost like a straight line. And when you stand up like a straight line, it's hard for the energy to flow. So we learn in the practice of what we do as proper alignment, it's a bow leg stance. You have to find both the two legs and the two arms. And as a result, when you're in a bow leg stance, everything can connect together. And where do you learn that? Well, you learn it in everything we do. Of course, one of them being the figure eight. When you do the figure eight, you're in proper alignment. When you do the figure eight, everything is connected. The two legs, the two arms, that's connected to the body. And the more you do the figure eight, the more you understand how it feels internally. Undoubtedly, it's going to connect with your two-person drills. Okay, that's a very strong foundational piece. So just wanted to tap in on figure eight. Again, in summary, it's not a straight line. It's one continuous energy. And that energy was spherical in a 3D circle. And that circle can go big, it can go small, it could contort in any type of circle you want. A very tiny circle, a very big circle. Something that sometimes when we do the two-person drills, and I could tell someone like Paul, very big, strong, a lot of mass, he's coming into me and he's giving me his full force, and I don't physically move, but I can return back into my safe positioning. Why? Because internally, you don't have to move to create a circle once you understand the energy flow. Because the energy flow, where does it go? It goes to the ground. And as a result, you can make a circle in the internal space without the person feeling you. And then from there, you can neutralize and redirect the direction. It's actually a pretty good feeling because you don't have to move now physically to redirect energy. You can redirect it through the internal space without physically moving. And again, that all stems from, of course, having a good foundation in the figure eight, because that has to come from the ground to go to the commander to do that 3D figure eight. Okay, so enough about that. We'll continue to talk about it in future sessions. Any questions? Anybody have any questions before closing off? Okay. I do have a question. Roger, how you feeling? You feeling better?
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. It was very subtle to start with, so it's just kind of scary, you know. I'm trying to take it easy all the time. I've got as long as I'm talking, I'm starting to notice finer movements, like energy movement within the body, shifting is the wrong word, the balance changing, and the mass following. But there's another thing that I wanted to ask you about. or tell you about. Every day I have to take my blood pressure, and I've been applying what I've learned from meditation to the taking the blood pressure to try to get it lower, empty my mind. And that seems to work. Not perfectly, but it's like a training device. I'll get better at it.
No, I think that plays a huge role. I think in any time that you can merge the mind and the body and the spirit together, you'll definitely get better results in whatever you do with the conventional medicine and how you want to, go about that and the results you get. I got no doubt about it. So the more that you can, take care of the inside, which we do now in the IST, it will definitely help in your overall results and what you want to accomplish. And you mentioned about the energy flow and not saying the word shifting, and that is correct. I know shifting is easy for the masses to understand. If we talk about inside formula, how energy and gravity goes first, followed by the mass, that could become somewhat difficult to understand. But that's something that needs to be explained and talked about in the practice. Otherwise, you won't get into the internal space if you're not sinking and allowing the energy and gravity to go. Because most of you have been in this class now for many months and some even a couple of years already, it's just a matter of time before you make that connection of what it means to have energy and gravity go first using your mind intention and letting things rebounding. It's actually a new language. It's a new way of looking at health, a new way of how energy moves. And it won't happen right away. But like Sal says, he's starting to put the pieces together. He's starting to make sense of how the words connect. That when Wayne is talking about rebounding, it's more than just something that is an intellectual thought. You start to feel it now. When you're doing the meditation walking, like for example, it's rebounding energy. When you go from the back leg to the front leg takes out the other leg. Those are all rebounding energy. Because we talk about no FRCT, right? No force, resistance, clutter, mind, tension. We're as light as a feather, right? Right? A feather that floats down has no energy. It's just the lightness of what it represents. That's how we want to move when we're doing everything we do. If we do that, is it difficult to get hurt, injury? Absolutely not. It's very safe. But of course, everybody comes from a different background. But because we're doing it in that direction, it's very difficult to get hurt. And to know that we are moving like a feather, receiving like a feather, doing everything in that direction, to me, it's very encouraging. Because to know that as we get older, we're not limited by just using our physical force to do any type of movement. Because how we're moving is actually in that direction already. Because only by doing it that way can you understand how the inside operates, how there's motion in stillness, and how there's stillness in motion. You start to piece it together through experiential what you feel inside. It doesn't become just an intellectual thought anymore. Okay. So again, the first couple of years, just really scratching the surface. Third, fourth, fifth year, it starts to unravel a lot of different things for you. And then once you feel it, when you practice, it's going to represent a whole new experience. And that's already happening one session at a time. It's not sudden. It's not like, boom, you get it right away. But it's just a practice that becomes continuous, the continuity of the practice. That's what it represents. Okay? So